and welcome to Career Talk. A lot of you young students out there would be wanting to get into top Indian and global universities. You must be wanting to know the best strategy to crack IIT, CUET without much sweat. What are some of the career options other than becoming a doctor or an engineer or a civil servant? How to make AI or artificial intelligence a career option? To talk about all of these and more, with me is Abhinav Gogoi, well-known career consultant and international education specialist. He is the Chief Growth Officer at IMS Learning Private Limited and also the Director at Inspire Us Education, Director at Youth Cove Foundation and Mentor at Drive EduMax Private Limited. Mr. Gogoi, welcome to Career Talk. You have traveled across 35 countries and counseled over 6,000 students. Now, as far as the Northeast is concerned, of course, there are a lot of brilliant, intelligent, talented students. Many of them, they want to get into top national and international universities. But for some reason or the other, maybe they don't know where and how to apply, what is the process, they are not able to do that. Now, let me start our conversation by asking you this very simple question: how to get into top leading national and international universities?
Right. So firstly, thank you for having me here. It's been wonderful really so far, whatever interactions we've had off the camera naturally.
Yes.
And to put it in a simple manner, I think the most important part about getting into top universities is naturally to do the right amount of research to understand what they're looking for.
Right.
I mean, whether it's in India, IITs, NLUs, IIMs, or abroad, whether you're looking at Harvard or whether you're looking at top universities in Singapore, Australia, UK, I mean, you name it. They all have certain agenda points or qualities that they look for in a student. As soon as you're aware of all of them, it becomes relatively easy to figure out how to get into them. And the best part of it, you can also get great scholarships to get into these also. Yes,
we'll come back, get back to that question in a bit. Also, we will talk about a lot about internship and a lot of other things. But next, of course, there are a lot of alternate career options nowadays. It is just not limited to medicine or engineering or civil services. But before I go there, a lot of young students, they toil day and night to crack IIT, CUET, and there are a lot of misconceptions as well when we talk about all of these things, the National Law University, all of those. So what are some of those misconceptions and how to crack these exams?
I mean, that's a great question, and I'm sure, this show will probably not do justice because we will not probably have enough time to discuss these.
Right.
However, I think there's two primary reasons actually. One, of course, as I pointed out previously also, it's a lack of awareness, both from the perspective of the students as well as sometimes the schools. No offending anybody, but that's just the situation it is, especially in the Northeast. And actually the parents, because we are all sort of, looking at things, how us as parents or our parents have sort of evolved themselves in terms of academia and professionalism. But those times have changed right now. It's not engineering, it's not IITs, it's not medicine, or it's not NEET anymore. There's multiple different opportunities that exist for anybody to live a good life, good successful life, good successful happy life. So in order to get to that, we have to naturally experiment. And sometimes, and that brings me to the second reason, as to sometimes people are not willing to experiment. This whole concept of trial and error, right? Trial and error is extremely important also because, only if you sort of work and experience something, then you realize whether you like it or not.
Right. Yes.
And that's when you had brought up the idea about internships and experiential learning opportunities, online courses, XYZ.
Yes.
All of this gives us information that is not available in books, whether it's in the university or at schools.
Right.
So in that case, when you experiment on different things, then you realize what should be your plan A, what should be plan B, and what should be plan C. And actually, to add as a third point, we don't do enough justice in understanding why we need plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think that's the third probably reason why sort of we are in that space where lack of awareness, not right amount of research, and probably also the fact that we are not aware about the choices that we probably have.
Yeah, Abhinav, now next thing that many of our students would want to know is how to understand what is the Common App and what is the UCAS.
Right. So these are two application systems, one for the UK, one for the US, that you need to use in order to put in applications to the universities across these countries. So UCAS is for the UK, while Common App is for the US. Now in order to, so this is just, both of these are just application platforms. However, they ask a lot of different things within these platforms. I mean, it's not just academic grades, but they also expect students to write essays, and they want to get students to write essays, because then they can understand what else has the student done, besides being in school or besides going to tuition classes, which is typically what the norm is in a day-to-day schedule of a student from the Northeast, which is something that most top foreign universities don't want in their student body. Yeah. They want somebody who's holistically developed in the sense. So I believe in let's say, besides the academics, I believe in 4 things that a student should have. Actually, not just a student, that should be the philosophy of life, so to say, and that should start in grade 10th itself. Okay. I call it CASL. So C stands for creativity, A stands for action, S stands for service, and L stands for leadership. So besides the academia, every single person in the world, and more so students, should have at least one activity that is creative in nature, one activity that is action oriented, one activity that is community service oriented, one activity that is leadership oriented. So to give you an example, leadership activities may mean like be part of the school council, for example, creating an event for your school or for college. Those are leadership activities. Creative can be dance, music, debates, MUNs, multiple robotic workshops, XYZ. In terms of service-oriented activities, it brings out the empathy, it develops empathy of a child, and that, you can work on Sunday mornings with an NGO. There's enough work to be done to uplift society anyway. And very importantly, also something action-oriented, so that we can physically sort of move, whether you go to the gym, whether you do yoga, whether you play football. So when we have that in our weekly schedule, all these 5 things, then this is when we call a student is holistically developed. Right. And just to bring that to perspective with India, I think that's very important to understand also for everybody. There are lots of these modern age universities in India that are also looking at a holistic admissions process. To name a few, maybe Ashoka, Kriya, Sulini University, Flame, Jindal Global University, all of these sort of universities look at a holistically developed student also. Right. So it's not only entrance test for them, which is what is typically done through NEET or JEE. So once you crack that entrance test, if you have a minimum of 50% cutoff or 75% cutoff, you get into those universities based on your entrance test ranking and percentiles. Yeah. But with some of these other universities, they conduct interviews also, just to understand whether the student will be right fit. So, and I feel now slowly, with the way the world is changing, the trend is that we want employable students. True. We don't need only erudite students. We don't need only academicians. They're great. We love academicians because they come up with all those theories. But to do the real thing, we really need people with good communication skills, good networking skills, who is able to write things very well, who can research things very, very well. So if you give them a topic or a problem, he or she can go back into the drawing board, open the laptop, figure out where the things are, and be able to create that report, and maybe give it to you in 24 hours, 48 hours. That's the real quality that we want. Yes. So, there, of course, we spoke about a lot of career options nowadays. Right. Of course, it's not just limited to engineering, medical and civil services, though most people love to still go after civil services. What are some of those new career options? And here I would request you to talk specifically for the students from Northeast, because they face a lot of challenges. For career options also, and also to get into all these global and national universities and colleges, they have to overcome a lot of things. So what best they can do sitting here in the comfort of their homes in Northeast? Right. I think the best way I can answer that is through examples. So let me give you 2 examples actually. Both are girls, so of course that sort of, it's already there in terms of promoting what we need in terms of women coming up and, the world looking after them naturally. So we have two very wonderful kids from the Northeast. So one's from Sibsagar, the other's from Guwahati, and they both had come to us probably a year back, who's looking to sort of go and study abroad. Naturally, they did not have enough money to sort of look at also. And one wanted to go to Korea, and the other wanted to go to the UK. One wanted to study wildlife conservation, the other wanted to study media studies, and particularly the engagement of Korean media influence in India, and particularly in the Northeast, So I mean, these are the kind of topics that everybody is sort of looking at also now. So if I have to sort of just break it down in terms of different streams, so that our viewers can sort of understand. Now, if you look at the sciences, we think of engineering and medicine, but the idea is now to look at what are the alternatives to medicine. Considering there's 21 lakh students giving the NEET exam every year, and we have maybe about 110,000 seats or something like that. What will the others do? Then that's when there's multiple variety of things like pharmaceuticals, diagnostics, paramedical sciences, biotech, biology, microbiology, even hospital administration. All of those things come into the picture. In fact, within engineering also, it's not only civil, mechanical anymore. It's structural engineering, environmental engineering, biomedical engineering, bioinformatics. All of those things are coming into picture. If we look at the humanities segment also, I mean, it's not just studying history, pol science and sociology anymore. I mean, you can go into anthropology, you can go into studying languages, and because we need lots of translation work also. And with respect to commerce also, I mean, with the advent of artificial intelligence and machine learning now, I mean, gone are the days when we use Excel sheets. Now we use multiple different softwares to figure out numbers and data.
True.
So in that case, financial analytics, data analytics, business intelligence. So moving away from something that is very sort of management oriented to moving something more towards technical with the use of the right kind of numbers, so to say.
Right. Right, we'll slip into a very quick break. Viewers, please don't go anywhere. This is a very important show where we are talking about your children's future and career options. Welcome back. I'm in conversation with Mr. Abhinav Gogoi, the career consultant. In fact, he is sharing with us multiple alternate career options which could be really helpful for all your children and all you young students out there. Mr. Gogoi, we of course spoke about AI, something everybody wants to know nowadays, how that can become a career option. And you also mentioned about the whole STEM part of it. Now, commerce, finance, medicine, these are kind of the traditional stuff that everybody loves to do or does. Now, what about the creative minds out there? What are the options for them?
Wonderful question. Yeah, I mean, not to deter anybody who's with a creative mind. Traditionally, we always thought, will I get into a creative field? It's so difficult to, become a movie star, to become a director, or a news presenter for that matter. But I think things like that is changing naturally with platforms such as YouTube, Instagram. I mean, people are becoming influencers. That's actually a paid role nowadays. People want to become YouTubers. So those are paid roles naturally. However, besides all of these, so-called, becoming popular, which has its pros and cons naturally. We also have a lot of these creative fields such as art, design, fine arts. We have something called as UI, UX, user interface, user experience design. We have any sort of product design oriented careers, as in if you want to create a glass, as in you need somebody to design that glass. You need to create a new age car, you need somebody to design that. So we do need those designers with technical skills, naturally. I mean, within that sphere, there's architecture also. However, I think the product design aspect of it, whether it's a mobile phone, whether it's any sort of a system, whether it's a camera, all of those is coming into the picture now. And within the pure creative fields, when we look at fine arts, some people love to draw. I mean, that's a very, very common hobby in the Northeast, where we all get put into painting schools or drawing schools on Sundays, but we don't know what to do with it after a little while.
Right.
So from that point, from learning how to paint with multiple different, whether it's watercolor or sketch pens or crayons and so on, you can probably move on to animation, which is the next best thing that can happen to you. I mean, for that you obviously need to have some amount of computer science knowledge, some amount of design, some naturally a lot of creative understanding also, and be able to use a lot of these different softwares, which again you don't need to go to school to learn.
Okay.
I mean, Adobe Photoshop, Blender, I mean, these are premium software, Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro. I mean, these are things that you just play around with, to learn and get better at, which probably we're not doing enough. I mean, that's what I feel as a pain point, let's say, in the Northeast.
Right. Yes. Yes. Now, Abhinav, you have worked as a climate researcher in the Arctic and the Antarctic.
Right.
Now, we nowadays talk a lot about sustainability, climate change. Now, throw some light on, taking these up as career options.
Wonderful. So there's two aspects to the whole concept of environmental sciences and sustainability. One that I had studied, which is why I did climate research. So that was from the point of view of engineering, science. So let's say STEM, science, tech, engineering, mathematics. The other aspect of environmental science and sustainability is policy making, which is when this whole concept of resource management, EIAs, or the environmental impact assessments, environmental law, all of those things come into the picture. So now, I mean, we all know that students who study generally humanities, and I'm removing this misconception today.
Yeah.
We all think that science and commerce students will always have a job after they study. Humanities students are the ones who they said, okay, you can't get into commerce science, therefore you study humanities, which is not true, my dear friends and audience. I mean, everywhere, every single organization that you see in the world would probably be run by humanities students, because if you study humanities, you develop great people skills, and with great people skills, you can always become great leaders. So from that perspective, also environmental law, environmental policy making, society, anthropology, all of those. In fact, I mean, I have a student at Oxford. I mean, she's just graduated from Oxford University from the Northeast. And she's looking to study tea tourism.
Okay.
And that's a definite concept for the Northeast.
Right.
Where we have
absolutely
those antiquated awesome bungalows, and people are coming into the Northeast to do that. So that itself is a career. So as soon as you have a great idea that is related to sustainability and environmental sciences, there will always be some jobs, because I mean, that's the state of the world now, where we need experts to solve the issues that we are facing with respect to the environment, whether it's pollution, whether it's enough, if we have enough water, and also to understand the climate and the weather, which is why I did go to Antarctica and the Arctic, because I mean, in order to study what is happening to the earth or to the world, you have to go to places that are very difficult to access. So marine sciences is a great career if you're looking at also.
Yes. So in fact, now it seems that there are a lot of career options than what we had in our days back then.
Correct.
A lot of things, lot of opportunities, and very interesting ones at that. So Abhinav, you have been an alumnus of the Assam Valley School, alumnus of Mahindra United World College of India, then Constructors University, Germany. There I think you did your BS Earth and Space Sciences. And then the University of Bremen in Germany in the MS Marine Geoscience and Climate Research. Now, what are your thoughts on making use of the alumni networks and community mentorship? Do you think these can play a big role in helping young students?
Yes, I feel it probably plays the biggest role. I mean, more than parents, more than mentors like us, more than teachers, I think the influence that alumni brings to the student body of that particular institution is tremendous, and I've seen it across multiple different alumni engagement that I've been part of. I mean, I'm also part of the alumni group of University of California, Los Angeles, for example. So, and the work that they do, the networking that happens within, is tremendous. I mean, recently we sort of set up the Assam Valley School Alumni Association also. And within that also I can see within the Northeast itself, whoever's sort of in that group are sharing messages on the WhatsApp groups and Telegram groups, etc., to find engagement, and that is also with school students, as in college students. I mean, we had some students send out these surveys that they have to do for their thesis projects in those groups, and the mentoring that happens, can be very beneficial, because then you already know that there's a pathway to the position that that alum has reached, and you can easily take that pathway, So that really helps, because then that's actual hand holding, it's not, hoping that somebody in the internet on YouTube will tell you and then you'll get influence. No, I mean, it's somebody who's been there, done that, and you just have to follow in their footsteps.
Right.
I mean, how simple it can get.
Yes, absolutely. Abhinav also would want to know, many of our students here, from the Northeast, they would want to know about industry exposure. Of course, we still don't have big industries here. We are just becoming an industrial hub thanks to Advantage Assam 2.0. Now, how do they do internships sitting here in Northeast, the industry exposure and also the networking that is important?
Yeah, I think one of the best platforms right now across the world for networking is LinkedIn, naturally. I mean, it's considered to be the most up-to-date professional platform that anybody can get that. I mean, there are lots of students also that are doing that. And within that, I mean, so then once you get onto a particular platform, it's all about, putting your foot forward and messaging somebody to create that connect. Now if you have an alumni group, you can do the same. But besides all of these things, I think one distinct thing that I see here, which is sort of a pain point, well, actually it's a major pain point, is that we are not producing enough employable students. Right. Actually, unfortunately, and that obviously the onus should be at the colleges, but we are not doing that enough, and if you notice at any industry, that's why we have the apprenticeships and traineeships, because they need to be trained to get back into the industry. Now, some of these things can be, developed while at college itself by using platforms such as, there's an awesome platform called the forage.com, THEFORAGE.com. So forage.com, you get a lot of different certifications and directly from these big companies, even TCS or Boston Consulting or KPMG. Coursera is a great platform to get some awesome, learning certifications, advanced, beginners, intermediate levels for any topic that you want to learn, and that comes directly from the universities. Okay. YouTube itself has a lot of different matters. So again, it's just creating that space where you want to understand something, and you have to get into it. To start research.
Yes. All right, Abhinav Gogoi, thank you so much. Would have loved to carry on this conversation with you, but obviously because of paucity of time, thank you for coming to the Northeast Live studio and sharing these valuable tips for our students and the young minds out there. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Thank you. Goodbye. Don't go anywhere. News follows on the other side.